This video covers identifying the components of the machine and the operation of the CrossCut XP. The main electrical enclosures are located here on the machine. The main power disconnect switch is located here on the main electrical enclosure. The air supply from your shop connects here. The water supply from your shop connects here. The power from your shop connects here. There are two pop-up roller tables on the machine. These allow easier positioning of larger material. This lever will raise and lower the pop-up rollers. There are two single-leg roller tables used for loading and unloading larger material. There is also a small parts table. The positioning of the small parts table and the single leg table are interchangeable with each other. Hold-down clamps lower to keep the material in place while cutting. During normal operation, they activate automatically. They can also be manually activated using the operator panel. The feet are adjustable. To move them, loosen the screw and slide to line up with your part. You can also unscrew them and position them into another slotted hole in the bracket. Once in the desired position, tighten the screw. There's a safety interlock on the blade cover that disables all motion anytime it's lifted. At the operator control station, this is the power on indicator. This is the emergency stop button. This is the system on button. Press to turn the system on. This is the axis override switch. It's keyed to prevent unauthorized use. This is the RPM override potentiometer. This is the operator interface HMI. It has a touch-controlled screen. Pressing the emergency stop button will turn the system off. Twist the emergency stop button counterclockwise to reset it. The emergency stop button will pop up. Then you can turn the system on. When the power is supplied to the machine, the power light indicator will light up. Press the System On button to activate the machine. After activating the machine, you'll need to home the machine. Press the button on the screen shown here. A dialog box will open to confirm that you want to home the machine. Press the checkbox to acknowledge. A dialog box will open to confirm the machine is finished homing. After you have homed the machine, you can begin cutting. This button is for bidirectional cutting. For normal operation, we don't recommend bidirectional cutting. This button is for conventional cutting. This is the conventional cutting screen. Press this button to manually raise or lower the hold-down clamps. Press this button to decrease the feed rate. Press this button to increase the feed rate. Press this button to return to the home position. Press this button to start and stop the arbor. Press this button to turn the water on and off. Press this button to return to the home screen. Quote displays the position of the center of the arbor in inches. L-Cut lets you set the length of the cut by pressing the display box under the L-Cut title. You can enter the desired length of the cut in inches, then press the Enter button to save the value. Pressing the display box across from the speed inches per minute display will allow you to enter the desired speed of travel in inches per minute. Then, press the Enter button. RPM displays the RPM of the arbor and AMP displays the AMP draw of the arbor. To adjust the RPM, first turn the blade on by pressing the manual arbor Start-Stop button. Next, turn the potentiometer until the desired RPM is displayed. Once set, you can press the manual arbor Start-Stop button to turn off the arbor. Once your parts are properly loaded and values have been entered for the length of the cut and for inches per minute, pressing the Start button will start the cutting process. The hold downs will lower, the blade will start rotating, and begin to travel down the bridge. If you need to pause the cut cycle, you'll need to press the red pause button. This will stop motion. The blade will still be rotating and the water will still be on. If you want to stop the cycle completely, press the red button again and the arbor will stop and the hold-down clamps will raise up. After your cut cycle is complete, to bring the machine back to home position, press the Home button. Pressing the blue check button will turn the arbor and water on before returning home. Pressing the red X button will return to home without turning the arbor water on. If you have a part where the hold-down clamps on the same bar will not contact the material, you can use a sacrificial piece of material to place underneath the other pad. This will make sure the hold-down clamp will hold the material with even pressure. If your programmed end of cut will stop where a hold-down pad is located, you will need to either move the pad out of the way or adjust the stop location to where the hold-down pad will miss the blade when raising. When cutting material thin enough that will slide under the location block, you'll need to use 2 thin material alignment jigs. Place one of the jigs over a block near one end of your material with the fingers of the jig pointing downward. Position the other jig on the other end of the material. Carefully slide the material against the jigs. Carefully lift out and remove the jig without disturbing the material. You can now cut the thin material accurately. To cut narrow material where the hold down will not contact the material when lowered, you'll use the 2 adapters to hold down the material for cutting. Set one of the adapters on one end of the material under a hold down and place the other adapter on the other end of the material under another hold down. Make sure the hold downs are centered over the adapter. If needed, adjust the 2 bolts on the adapters so it sits level on the material. The saw is now ready for operation. Slide the material up against the stops. Make sure that the hold downs will be fully lowered on the material, securely holding it in place while cutting. If needed, loosen the plastic knob holding the hold down pad in place and slide it to where you need it. Tighten the plastic knob once in place. Before cutting, ensure the water nozzles are pointed at the blade to provide proper cooling. There are 2 lines each on the leading edge and 2 on the trailing edge of the blade. Adjust these if needed to make sure you have adequate water flow on both ends of the table. If you fault the machine by running the cross travel too far, you'll need to follow these steps to be able to reset the fault. From the main menu, press the I/O button. This area is password protected. Refer to your manual for the correct password. Once you enter the I/O screen, you'll turn and hold the key switch while pressing the System On button. Then press and hold the arrow button to manually jog the machine off the hard stop. To increase the feed rate for jogging, press and slide the bar to the right to increase the speed. Once you're near the home position, release the jog button and the reset key. You'll need to re-home the machine after performing this procedure by pressing the Home Machine button. When homed, press the check button to acknowledge the reset. When changing the blade, always ensure that the machine is powered down and in a safe state. You'll need a 12mm hex wrench and a 60mm open-ended wrench. Both are included with your machine. Lift the blade cover to get access to the blade. Remove the 2 screws that hold the shroud cover in place and set them aside. Lower the shroud cover and pull towards you to get it off the back lip of the shroud housing and carefully set it aside. Insert the hex wrench onto the arbor shaft. Using the open-end wrench, loosen the nut. Note, this is a left-handed thread. Once you have the nut loose, hold onto the blade and outer flange while removing the nut. Carefully remove the outer flange and blade. Prior to blade installation, clean both the inner and outer flanges. If needed, you can use a mild nylon scrubbing pad to remove any buildup on the flanges. Locate the rotational direction arrow on the new blade. The blade will be installed with the arrow pointing in the clockwise direction. Install the blade. Make sure the blade is installed with the directional arrow pointing in the clockwise direction. Install the outer flange onto the arbor. Hand tighten the arbor nut until snug. Using the 2 wrenches used to remove the blade, tighten the arbor nut. Reinstall the blade shroud cover by setting it on the lip of the bottom of the shroud housing. Reinstall the 2 screws. Realign the water lines so they spray correctly on the front and rear edges of the blade. Prior to shutting the machine down and the arbor is not in the home position, send it to the home position by pressing the home button. Once the machine is stopped and is in the home position, you can power down the machine.